when you almost wanted to give up and things weren't working and you're like, I tried this and I tried that, and you're like, shit, this is not working, and you're pushing yourself, but physically you're tired and mentally it's draining, and then you keep pushing, you keep pushing, and you keep pushing, and you win.
I'm the most brutal and vicious and most ruthless champion there's ever been.
Yesterday, you said tomorrow, so just do it! You should be a monster, and then you should learn how to control it.
It all comes from life lessons, and the lessons are learned through struggle.
Hey guys, how's everyone doing? I'm doing well, hope you're doing well as well. And today we're here with the very first success show, our lovely guest, Dennis. And today we're going to be talking about self-development, about health, and everything that we consider related to success. And we're very happy to have you on our first episode. We're honored.
I'm very honored to be here, man. I mean, Eunice, we have a beautiful story. So, I mean, most of the time you are behind the camera, and this is the first time I'm seeing you in front of the camera. So it's cool. see this guy in front of the camera, man. So it's nice to see that you can also do stuff like that, man. It's cool.
Yeah, to be honest, it's kind of like I'm not used to it, so it takes some getting used to. But
yeah, I get you. I feel you, but you'll be fine.
All right, Dennis, let's start by your day. How was your day?
My day was pretty interesting, actually. Today, I cannot say too much about it, but I train kids with special needs, like as in I give them sports and fitness classes. And today they came to the gym, and we had a little incident with one of the kids. So I was like, something that could be prevented, but we managed and we made it work. So it was a bit tensed today, actually.
And just to get into not specifically what happened, but like when a problem arises, just any problem.
Yeah.
What do you think is the best way to deal with that, especially when someone else is involved?
Well, the first thing is to just step back and analyze what the problem really is. You know, like what is really going on, and from there, you just try to look at different. How can I say that? Like, you know, different perspectives and sides of the problem. And okay, what is the problem? Why did it happen? You know, why did that person do or did what he or she did, and trying to understand it and thinking, like putting yourself in a situation like, okay, if I would be in that situation, that problem, how would I feel, and how would I like people to approach me? And from there, I just start, dealing with it.
I think the very first thing you said was very interesting because in many instances people like to directly react.
Yeah.
And it's an impulsive reaction.
Yeah.
You agree that that's not the way to go in most cases.
No, I can understand, but it depends. Sometimes when you have a problem and it needs like quick measures, sometimes you need to respond real quickly.
Yeah.
For example, if you see something falling, you're not going to be like, oh, why is that thing falling, and how, then you really need to respond real quick. But in other situations, sometimes, you need to step back and see like what's really going on, and then think it through before you really act upon something,
That's very interesting.
Yeah, it is.
Dennis, for this podcast, what I would like to do is kind of take like a chronological approach to your life. And then we start from when you were really young in Ghana, and then I'd like to move up, and perhaps we can talk about our story after.
Cool.
Can you take us back to young Dennis?
Young Dennis, wow, yeah. I remember living in Ghana with my parents, actually, not missing anything, as in, my parents did well. I mean, I don't feel like I missed anything when I was a little child or a little kid in Ghana. And I remember my dad, that's when I was like, 6 or 8, telling me like, we're going to go to a different country. And I was like, different country? And we were, I don't know what he's talking about. The only thing I could remember is him telling me we're going to take the plane. And I was like, whoa, the plane. Like, imagine a young kid thinking about a plane. Like when you look at movies, you see F-16s and like flying. So that's what I thought, I'm going to go into a plane like that. And actually, when we got to the plane, I just realized that it was the most boring thing ever, flying to Europe. And it was kind of a shock for me, to be honest, because, You know, as a young kid, living in a small world, as in my house and my surroundings in Ghana, I never saw people, Caucasian people from Europe. You know, I never saw someone with blue eyes. Never saw someone with a white skin. I never saw someone with blonde hair. So the first time I saw that, I was like, "What is this? Where are these people from?" You know. So yeah, as a kid in Ghana, I was like, I remember that I was having a peaceful life with my parents, and coming to Europe is where actually, you know, the adventure started. As in, you know, seeing different people, um, going to a school where you're actually the only one who's different, um, learning a different language like Dutch. I was like, whoa, I mean, what are these people telling me, you know? Teacher telling me, yeah, like, you know, sitting in school and they were like, up, note, mies. I was like, showing me up for monkey, note for nut, and this woman called mies. I was like, how is this ever going to help me to learn this language? But that's the way they were doing things back then. And yeah, actually, from back then is where everything started for me, like this whole journey. I mean, you know, learning new things, seeing new things, adapting a lot, understanding the way why people talk like in a certain way, why they think in a certain way, what the culture is, what they find important, and what they see as respect. You know, in my culture, in the Ghanaian culture, when you talk to someone, if you respect the person, you never look them in the eye. You look down out of respect. You come to the Netherlands, if you respect someone, you got to look them in the eye. If you look away, it's disrespectful. So at home, when my parents were talking to me, I was looking down, especially if I did something wrong. Then at school, when I did something wrong, I was looking down. I had to look her in the eye. I was like, why is that? So those are like the small things that started with, you know, when understanding a different culture. Yeah. So that was young Dennis in primary school, learning a language. I didn't speak for like, I think, a year or two. First thing, like when I was at school, it's like, yeah, they were teaching me the language and I was not responding.
You're just listening?
Just listening. I did not want it to respond. I was like, what is this? Like, I was pretty slow with a lot of things.
What was the reason you didn't want to express yourself?
I think, you know, for a child, it's very important to have a safe environment. And I know my teachers did their best, but for me, I think it just wasn't safe enough because I felt like this is not my environment. This is not what I'm used to. And I think I found it very tough to let that go because I was the only one not speaking the language. I was the only one looking different, like, you know, in appearance. So yeah, I couldn't see someone that I could resonate with or like, hey, that teacher or that kid or that someone looks like me, you know? So yeah, that's it actually.
And when you look back at that period, like it's a period of major discomfort. I think
Yeah.
you could say it like that. Like a famous quote would be like growth comes with discomfort.
Yeah.
Something in that sense. Like the
Yeah.
two go hand in hand together.
Yeah.
When you look back, does that apply in this situation or was it like that bad that it didn't?
Well, I had no choice. Like, if you are in a situation that's uncomfortable, you know, and like it's so uncomfortable that you feel like you cannot connect with anyone, like that's where you like consciously or unconsciously start understanding that you have to adapt. So that adaptation was like growth for me, like trying to like, okay, I need to fit in somewhere because that's how people react, especially as a kid. I need to be part of something, you know? So yeah, definitely I believe in discomfort you learn a lot. You learn a lot without even noticing. You just automatically start doing things that you never did before or, you know, because you feel like this feeling of discomfort you can sometimes compare with fear, if I can say, because you feel like, you know, uncomfortable. It's like you're almost afraid of something, so it pushes you to do something so that you can get that feeling away. So yeah, I think I was going through that.
Nice. And when you look back to that, like today, for example, has that benefited you in a positive way?
Yeah, I always definitely because, I realized that if I want to challenge myself, if I want to grow, I got to challenge myself because if I challenge myself, that's when I start doing things. You know what I mean? If you're not challenged, you're not going to feel like, oh yeah, I want to do this. You need to see for me, I need to see a certain challenge. You know what I mean? And if I want to challenge myself, I know that I have to be in a situation that's uncomfortable because only then I think that's the situation that will make me push myself to the next level. So yeah, I see the benefits of it. Even right now, being an entrepreneur, it's not easy to be an entrepreneur. I mean, you never know what might happen the next day. You always got to stay sharp. You got to check the trends because I mean, you got to earn money somehow. You got to earn money to make things work. And if that flow of money stops, then you got a problem. So you're always thinking ahead, like, yo, I got to do something. I got to do something. I got to do something. Because what if that flow of money that you have stops? What are you going to do then? Because you're entrepreneur, because you want a certain type of freedom, there are certain things you got to get used to. You got to get used to being uncomfortable.
Would you say it relates to just staying sharp? Like you
Yes.
cannot let anything slip.
You cannot let anything slip. You're like always sharp, and you gotta feel comfortable with that feeling of being uncomfortable and being sharp.
Other things in your daily routine that you practice that help with that? Because, for example, I know working out for me is a major key to just staying sharp. Like if I train in the morning and afterwards I take a cold shower, I'm like, "Oof, I'm ready for the day. Like I can do it."
Yeah. I work out most of the time 6 a.m. I've been doing that for a long time now. And the reason why I'm doing that, for example, is that I once said on social media, like, if you can get yourself out of the comfort of sleeping, if you can get yourself out of that comfort, because sleeping is the most comfortable thing. We love to sleep. That's something that people don't want to trade for anything. But if you can get out of that comfort, cut that short, get that discipline to do that, so that you can focus on other things. I mean, then it's gonna make you sharp. And once you get used to it, like you're like, oh, I want to sleep, but then you're like, no, man, I promised myself I'm gonna work out at 6. Promise myself that to do it. Then I work out at 6, and after my workout at 6 o'clock, I'm like, oh yeah, let's go. I feel good.
And but then, practically speaking, because I'm a big advocate of sleep, I've done a lot of research about sleep, and we've talked about this before.
Yeah.
I know for a fact that myself, if I want to be sharp, go back to that, if I need to be sharp for the whole day, I know I need 7.5 hours of sleep.
Yeah.
If I'd have to wake up at 6, if I do some math, I would have to sleep at 10:30. I hope that's right. Do you sleep early, or do you just sleep very late and then you wake up very early?
I try to sleep early. I try to sleep early, and sometimes I try to sleep, but most of the time I don't sleep early. I sleep around 11:30, 12 o'clock, because there's like so many things I have to deal with before I go to sleep, and then I wake up at 5:15, so I get like 5.5 hours max of sleep during the week.
And you don't experience that as like diminishing returns, where like you're waking up really early, but then later on in the day, don't you feel like a very big dip where you just like...
The thing is, if you're constantly sharp, you don't think about the dip. But once you start to, like, once the day is over, you're like, okay, I'm going home, that's when the dip hits you.
Yeah.
And that's what I feel, especially like in the weekends when I'm off. That's when the dip really hits me, and then I'm out.
Yeah, I mean, I think for all the people watching, we saw a story from your wife.
Yeah.
She posted you sleeping in the car and then sleeping in the house, sleeping everywhere.
Sleeping everywhere. So like, let's go to my parents. It's like, okay, so should I drive? Yeah. It's like, yeah, I'm going to read a book. Literally, I was reading that book for like 20 minutes, and then boom, out. Then I got to my family, my parents, and my in-laws, and they're like, yeah, feel comfortable. I put on my jalaba, I lay on the couch, boom, gone. I wake up, I eat, watch TV, boom, gone.
Okay,
Yeah.
so now in the frame of like giving people practical advice, so
Yeah.
we know, so having a healthy routine where you wake up early,
Yeah.
where you basically challenge yourself every day, and
Yeah.
that starts really early in the morning
Yeah.
by waking up early. And I had that feeling too. At some point, I was training with your business partner,
Yeah.
and his trainer, when we were training at 6 for a week.
Yeah.
It was really intense.
Yeah.
But then I remember just driving back home at 7, and still everything was dark. There was no one, and I had already done my workout. That feels so powerful.
Exactly,
Because
you
you're like,
know?
they're all sleeping.
And you're already up.
I'm up. I've worked out.
Yeah.
I sweat.
Yeah.
I'm ready to challenge the day, and you're all still sleeping.
Exactly. And also one thing, Eunice, what I think is very important is that, what motivates me a lot is that, I got to be honest, tomorrow is never promised. You know what I mean? You don't know how many days you have. So I try to make the best out of every day. So if I have to sleep less for that, I will sleep less. Because when your time comes, it comes, You don't need sleep anymore. You can sleep, or you're gonna sleep for forever or whatever. But your days, you cannot take your days for granted.
Yeah.
You really gotta. I believe like you gotta do something. Like if it's work, or if it's working for your dreams or whatever, or if it's freedom or whatever, I'm like, you really got to cherish your days, man. And I think sleeping is good, but if you sleep, you don't experience the beautiful things that you have when you're awake. So that's why I'm like, I can cut my sleep. And in the times that I feel like I'm not doing anything, well, then I'll sleep.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's something your body has to get used to, right?
Yeah.
Because I think it's if we're trying to give practical advice, like if we tell everyone, just sleep for 5 hours.
Nah, not everyone.
I think that would be
can do
hard.
that. No, that would be hard, and I wouldn't advise that to anyone. But for me, it's like that's the reason why I do it. You know? But yeah, no. What I know, people need at least, I think, 7 to 8 hours sleep to be productive during the day, and not everyone. I believe not everyone is on a mission like I am. I think. And because I have like a certain mission, that's why I push myself to that extent.
Yeah.
You know?
That relates back to having a strong why.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. My why makes me stand up early. My why makes me push. My why makes me like, even though I feel like I would rather relax sometimes and do nothing, I'm like, no, not now, because I have a certain purpose in life, that I'm chasing.
Could you describe your why for the people that would like to know? I mean, I know you really well, and I know all the things you're doing.
Of course. My why in life is like, okay, first of all, I'm aware of the opportunities that I have in my life, especially if you come from a country where people are less privileged compared to you. In Ghana, not all the kids had the opportunities that I had, and I'm very content with that. So the second I realized that, I was like, okay, I want to do something. First of all, I want to do something with my life. And I was like looking for a purpose in my life. And I was like, my purpose in life for me is like, I want to help people. I really feel a strong urge to help people. And the people who need it, And by helping, I mean helping them by inspiring them, helping them by linking them to the right people, helping them by maybe talking to them, helping them by personal training, helping them by, I don't know, giving the words they need. Like, I just want to help people. And because I find comfort in that, I feel good about that, it just motivates me to stand up and do something. Because in this world, I've realized that nothing is fair in this world. This world that we're living in is not fair. It's something that everyone knows. Like, we are lucky to be able to sit here and do the things that we're doing right now. And on the other side of the world, innocent people are dying for no reason. They have never done anything bad to anyone. So I'm like, maybe it's extreme, but I'm very content with that. And that mindset, or that why came through the years, because I traveled a lot when I was young, and I went to countries like Pakistan. I went to several countries in Africa to do charity work. I went to Nepal. I was in India, And going through to all those countries, I just realized that there are a lot of people who you could help or you could make a difference in their lives just with your presence or just by talking to them or, you know. And I also realized that I'm so privileged in the things that I have that I had to do so. I have to do something. This life that I have is not just a gift, as in do whatever you like. I don't see it like that. People do. Well, no offense to people who think like that, but for me it's different. I think this life is given to me to do something with it, something good, you know, and that's my why actually.
You have a sense of responsibility, if I
Yes,
understand
yeah,
correctly.
I have a huge sense of responsibility. Yeah, yeah. As far as you know, I think I can do stuff and help someone. If it's in my power to help someone, I can never say no.
Is the because you talked about like gratefulness. You're grateful of like all the opportunities you have,
Yeah,
just sitting together, being able to give personal training, being able to help people.
yeah.
Is that something that you practice daily? Because I know for a fact that a lot of successful people and books I've read or podcasts I listen to, those people practice gratefulness for 50 minutes a day. And that can be in the form of praying or basically just sitting down and thinking about all the things they're grateful for or perhaps writing it down. Is that something you do actively or does that just come like in the day?
You know, I think I from time to time I take my moments to stand still and realize how grateful I am and how grateful I should be. But I think I express my gratitude, if I can say it, through helping others. I'm happy. I'm so grateful for what I have. That's why I want to share it with someone. That's why I want to help someone else. That's why I want to link it to someone because I'm happy with what I have, you know?
You're actively experiencing
Yeah,
gratefulness.
yeah. You know, instead of like, yeah, let me just, it's good to meditate or to pray or whatever. That's always good for the mind and the soul and the spirit. But I also like praying is something just for you and like, okay, I'm grateful. Now let's do, no, if you're grateful, you got to act upon it, you know? And that's what I do.
Very nice.
Yeah.
I think that's something that a lot of people can take example of. Basically, like challenging yourself every day and just being grateful for
Yeah.
what you already have.
Yeah.
Are there things that you would add to that list for like because now I'm kind of like trying to get an idea of how you live your life and what your daily routine looks like. Now we've had two major components. Are there other things that are key components for you to live a successful, healthy, happy, grateful life?
I think surrounding yourself with the right people. I think my wife is how should I say it? Like she's part of that fundament. My wife, the people I surround myself with, like-minded people. Like for example, you. You know, I see great things in you and the people you surround yourself with. That motivates me and makes me understand also like, yo, Dennis, you got to be grateful. Okay, look at the people you have around you. Look what's happening. You know what I mean? So your surroundings, man, like your environment needs to support that mindset and that feeling. So yeah, your environment is very important. The people around you are very important. I think those two are also key components for me. Yeah.
How does training impact your life?
Training keeps me sane, man. As in, you know, I was always into sports, basketball, and that competitiveness to challenge yourself, to push yourself, even that's the thing that I love. Actually, I realized that as a kid. That's why I started sports at a young age. I tried all sports, and I wanted to do sports that would challenge me mentally. Like, you know, there's nothing. I think there's no feeling greater than when you almost wanted to give up and things weren't working and you're like, I tried this and I tried that and you're like, shit, this is not working. And you're pushing yourself, but physically you're tired and mentally it's draining. And then you keep pushing, you keep pushing, and you keep pushing and you win. That feeling it's crazy because you're like, against all odds, my body was tired, mentally I was through it. I was down by this many points. People didn't believe in me. The team I was playing against, they were a lot better than us or whatever. But because we pushed through, or I pushed through, I won.
Yeah.
That's the thing I try to bring back in my training, like pushing myself with weights, pushing myself condition wise. Trying to find that competitiveness with me. It's like versus myself. Like, yeah, can I bench press that weight? Oh man, today I don't feel like it, and I'm like, I can't. No, you can. Yes, and then I'm like, you know what? Just press it, go for it, and then you press it a few times, and you're like, yo, I did it. I was fighting against myself. It was me versus me, and I beat me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Beating yourself, that's something that it happens here, and
Yeah.
only you know that challenge is going on.
Exactly. So that's why I train a lot, and it also keeps me healthy and fit.
Yeah.
Makes me sleep well. Also research has shown that if you work out, there's this chemical that comes free in your brain, that a happy hormone or endorphins.
Yeah.
So it's also one of those things that keeps me in check, health wise.
You've had the opportunity to work with a lot of people
Yeah.
from all different backgrounds, artists, athletes, whatever, name it, you've done it. Something that I have observed in my, say, short lifespan is that I see that a lot of successful people have some kind of background in sports.
Yeah.
This doesn't always apply. But me personally, for example, I did taekwondo for a long time. And like the feeling before you have a competition, I'm sure it was same with basketball. We can talk about that in a second.
Yeah.
The feeling you have before a competition is like, it's very hard to describe.
The adrenaline you're talking about?
Yeah, I think it's adrenaline,
Yeah.
but there are more things playing
Yeah,
even.
yeah.
It's just that, and then, for example, when I have to like do a presentation at university or whatever, it just doesn't compare.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, just let it. Like, do you see that around you, that people that have done some kind of like sports, or not per se sports, but something challenging in their youth, or perhaps just have witnessed like very challenging things, that those people are more likely to be successful, or more likely to
Achieve their goals.
achieve their goals?
I think so, yes. Because, every time when you set a goal, you'll get obstacles on the way, right? And if you want to be able to face those obstacles, you need to have a certain mindset. It sounds cliche because everyone's talking about mindset and everything, but you need like a certain way of thinking. You need like a certain fire, because that obstacle is going to bring resistance. It's going to try to stop you. And if you want to overcome that obstacle, you need a certain urge to be willing to fight. And if you're not trained and molded in that stuff, it's going to be tough to reach your goals. Simple.
Is that something that people can adapt later in their life? Imagine like we have someone watching now, and they're like, "Oh, damn it, I didn't do sports when I was young." Is that something that you can still build up?
Yes, there's something. There's no time for all those things. Like if you're lucky and you're blessed if you had that in your youth. If you didn't have it in your youth, you can still get it. I don't. To me, I try not to link success to time. And goals to time. Like, it's good to have a certain time span, because it puts a certain pressure behind you to do the things that you have to do. But sometimes you're giving it your all, and maybe you've been giving it your all every day, and you still haven't reached your goals. So then putting a certain time on it will only frustrate you more. So I believe that, if you haven't been through that stage of being molded and sharpened,
Adversity.
it doesn't matter. It can come later.
And what are ways that people can experience adversity?
Well, I don't think like there's a certain how should I say it? I don't think like there's a certain like instruction book I can give people like you have to do this to experience adversity. But if you're a person and you set certain goals, there's something that you have to be aware of that you will face adversity. And then if you're aware of that you will face challenges and adversity, gotta make it clear to yourself, what am I gonna do when I face these things? What tools am I gonna use to fight these things? And how am I gonna put myself in a position that I'm gonna fight and win? You know? And if you can make that clear for yourself, then I think you already have a solid foundation to go through this adversity. And yeah,
It starts in the mind, right? Then
it starts in the mind. Yeah, it starts in the mind. Definitely, it starts all here and in the heart here. You're like, okay, it's in my mind. Gonna drop to my heart. Then I'm gonna start talking about it. Then I'm gonna start acting upon it. You know? Yeah.
And now going back to your childhood slash when you were younger, basketball.
Yeah.
I've never heard you talk about that. I mean, I was always really curious about how that was.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Basketball, man. It's a hate and love thing, man. That's why I don't talk too much about it. But you know, basketball was like it was a way of living, man. I mean, I was so dedicated to the sports that I would train twice a day. Because if you look at basketball, you know, basketball is like, bro, it's a challenge on its own because you are so important in your team because you play 5 against 5. Every individual is very important. So, and your energy is very important because, like for example, if the team is down and your spirit is up, it can be contagious. You can get back from being down by 10 points or 20 points, whatever, you know. So, basketball made me think big. Actually, basketball made me think that I could be the best in the world. It made me think like, you know, nothing is impossible as long as you train as hard as you can and give it your all. And actually, I could see it. Like if I would put time into my free throws, I was getting better at it. If I was putting time in the way I would drive to the basket, I was getting better at it. If I would put time in my shots, I was getting better at it. I'm more confident about it. And you know, in sports, you need a certain self-esteem to the extent that people might think you're arrogant. You got to believe that you're the best.
We see that with all the boxers, right? Like
Yeah.
talk like Muhammad Ali and
Yeah,
and
you got to
Tyson,
believe
like,
that you're the best. You know what I mean? And if you don't believe you're the best, you're gonna act upon it. But you really got to believe that you're the best. That's why you got to tell yourself you're the best. You got to live and act by it. And you know, you got to do it in a way to the certain extent that it resonates with your soul and your spirit, that it's real, like, you know, yeah, you are the best. Or else, you know, if you don't push yourself to that point or talk to yourself like that, you know, you might have certain things or choices that you will never make, or you might be afraid to take certain decisions, you know, because you're afraid like, oh yeah, I might miss that shot when you shoot the ball. I might miss that opportunity, so I rather not do it. I'd rather pass the ball to someone else. But sometimes you gotta step up and be like, I'm gonna do this. And then you do it. And if it happens and it works, you're like, see, I'm doing it. It's good. Gotta elevate you even more. If you miss, you gotta be like, oh, I missed now, but I'm gonna hit the next one. Or hey, now it's his turn to score. I'm gonna stop him, snatch that opportunity of him, and score again. You know, those are things you can use in your life, you know? And that's the thing I had with basketball. It was all about that feeling. And also in that time in my life, I felt like I didn't belong to. I was like always the outcast. I was playing soccer or football, but in the Netherlands, I've always felt like I didn't fit in. You know what I mean? I loved the sport, but the culture was so so narrow-minded, so harsh, racial. You know what I mean? And nowadays you still see it in football. And imagine 10 to 15 years ago, it was even worse. And I wasn't even playing at professional level, amateur, as a kid, and I was already experiencing that. So I felt like I couldn't, unless you have a very strong force behind you, you push through. But if you don't have that force as a kid, because back then when I was playing football, parents would come and watch, and then you had your parents behind you. And my parents were always busy with other stuff, which I understand. I don't blame them for it, but I was by myself. So, if things would happen, I was alone.
But you pushed through, but how? How did you do that? Because for people watching now, and I'm sure like many of us have experienced this, especially when you're not from the country where you're in and
Yeah.
you're from somewhere else. How did you keep the mindset to just push through and just take it in and just continue?
I was like at some point with football, I was pushed in a corner that at some point, if I wouldn't stand up for myself, I would experience this bullshit over and over and over again. And I was like, do I want to experience this bullshit over and over again, or do I want it to stop? I want it to stop. Then you got to do something, and I did. So that's what I experienced with football. You got to stand up for yourself, and also understand why you play football, because you love the game. But at some point, I got to a certain point. I was like, is this what I want? Is this really what I want? Because if I love the game, I can play it outside. I don't need to play it at a club. I can just do it outside. And I was doing it outside. I stopped and I was playing football outside. And then someone was playing basketball. And I was like, oh, yeah, let me join. And I was like, whoa, this is different. This is cool. And the culture surrounding basketball back then, I could see myself in it. Back then, if you look at the world of football 10 years ago, like the majority of the football players, they're white. Like, the Dutch team. Okay, you had blacks in it, which came on later, but the majority of the German teams, the Swedish teams, the Spanish teams, and the African teams, you didn't see them that often, only in the World Cup, but they wouldn't get that far. So I was like, I couldn't really link myself to something that was close to me. And then I got to basketball. I was like, yo, in basketball, it actually didn't matter where you were from. There was no racism in basketball. I was like, yo, I didn't experience anything. It was all about your game. How do you play? If you're good, you're good. If you're bad, you need to sit your ass down and work harder and then come back. But no one would say anything about the way you look or the way you talk or your skin color. I didn't hear that in basketball. Like, it was like one thing. Even though you were playing against someone, in the beginning of a match, everyone shakes each other's hand. At the end of the match, you give props, and then that's it. And if there was an argument or a fight, you fight it off with your game. If you win, you won that fight. If you lose, you lost that fight. You got to accept it. That's it. Shut up and go. And with football, it was like nowadays, people would say the worst things. So, yeah, that's why I moved to playing basketball. And that's why I grew into basketball, actually. And unfortunately, I was playing it, but, physically, I was getting some injuries. And back then, like, the understanding of the physics are a lot better than back then. Back then, you just did basketball. The only thing you did was basketball, run, or football. And if you get injuries, you'd be like, how do I get these injuries? And how do I get rid of these injuries and stuff like that? So, yeah, man, that's why I had to stop with basketball due to injuries. And it sucked because I loved the game. But the injury stopped me, and at some point, I couldn't get back to the level of basketball that I had. So I was like, you know what? It was a good time. I learned a lot.
I remember you talking about the opportunity that you got to travel.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, you went to USA to play there.
Yeah.
How was that?
Bro, that was... I thought the Netherlands was tough, but once I got to the US, Illinois, I was in high school. bro, basketball is their life. It's not about fun anymore. I couldn't, yeah, I couldn't comprehend. It was overwhelming. But I adapted at some point, and I understand why Americans are so good in sports because that level of commitment, I've never seen a level of commitment to sports like that before. It's like, oh yeah, now I understand they're so good in basketball, American football, baseball, because it's almost they put themselves in a situation of life or death. Like, if I don't win, I'd rather die on the court. I was like, yo, chill. You know? But yeah, that's it, man.
That's crazy. And that competitive, because you were also really competitive. Otherwise,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
wouldn't you
yeah,
wouldn't go there.
Yeah.
That competitiveness, how did that come along? Were you from like a really young age? Do you remember yourself like trying to win everything, or is that just
Well,
something that you learned, or you?
I had to because, like, first in Ghana, I didn't have to win because I was in a comfortable situation. So there was no fight, no struggle. But from the second I came to the Netherlands, you know, I had to win for myself. Like, I had to win learning a language. I had to win being accepted. I had to win, like, by adapting, you know. I had to stand up for myself. Like, all these things I was experiencing made me or forced me to win. And, you know, without any competition, there's no win. So there was a competition, there was a fight. And that's how I got to that point, I think, you know. And like as a young kid, but also like in primary school, in high school, in college, in my first jobs, I always had to fight and stand out for myself to be accepted. And that's where it comes from. That's also one of the reasons why I became an entrepreneur, because at some point I was like, I'm so fed up of a boss like me having to prove myself to someone to get certain things done.
Being dependent.
Yeah, being dependent. Like, I had to prove my boss, for example, like, I think this is the best direction to go based on so and so and so and so and so. And then he was like, no, we're going this direction because I think it's better with no stuff like that, you know? Or you have to act in a certain way for them to give you a raise. You know, you need to talk and mingle and
To act.
to act. I was like, why though? But that's the culture, like society. Like, if you work somewhere, if you want to climb up the ladder, people have to like you. You need to do extra. You need to be everything except for yourself. I was like, no, man, I'm not gonna lie to myself.
It's like a cookie cutter template. Like you have
Yeah.
to fit in, or otherwise you're not part of the.
And especially if you look different. If you look different, then you have to adapt. You have to lose yourself even more to be more like them to be accepted.
Because you're talking about being an entrepreneur. Before doing that, you worked in a very corporate environment, right?
Yeah.
Not many people know this, but
Yeah, true.
what were you doing before? Like
I was
before doing
yeah,
that.
I was working for, like, I would say the IRA. They're like the government, like the
Yeah,
tax.
it's like the
yeah.
Dutch IRA.
Yeah, very corporate, very governmental. As a young dude, actually, I was 21 when I started there.
Is that one of the places where you had to act?
Yep. Yeah, like that's one of the places where I had to act to be liked. I had to act, but also in the beginning years of my shift in starting my fitness career. You know, that was crazy. So I was like, okay, I was working there and I had to act. I always had to smile. I always had to, okay, I don't mind smiling because I'm a happy person, but I always had to talk in a certain way, use a certain language for them to be like, oh yeah, he's not scary. Or, oh yeah, he's good. Oh, he's one of us. Oh, he understands us. Oh, whoa, he understands. He speaks Dutch very well. You know, whoa, look at it. He's very well educated. Wow, you're different. Like, I had to do all those things extra for them to be like, you know, for them to be like, yeah, I'm going to accept him, or I'm going to give him that opportunity, which is crazy.
You talked about it really early on, right? Like,
Yeah.
life is unfair.
Yeah,
Also, in this instance.
exactly.
But like, that's a fact, right?
Yeah,
So you have to deal with it.
I have to accept it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's interesting, right? Because some people would just sit down and be like, "Oh, life's unfair. people are not giving me this, or I'm not like getting that job. That's not the right mentality, right? Like,
That's not the right mentality. I do understand why people think like that because
obviously,
if you're in that situation, it's sorry for my language, it's just fucked up. Like if you did everything you had to do, everything was right, everything was on point, you gave it your best, and then you don't get the job or you don't get the opportunity because the boss knew someone else who he liked, or this woman or girl is his favorite, or you know what I mean. It's fucked up. So you, of course, I understand a lot of people like, yo, man, it's never gonna work. I was in that same position. Then I was like, you know what? I'm not doing this bullshit anymore. I'm gonna choose for myself. And yeah, because when I quit my job for the government, I remember my boss telling me like, yo, you're the youngest in your position. You're the only foreigner in your position. This opportunity is crazy. Like the person, like I was 21, and the next person who was young was like 10 years older. So that was like a minimum of 10-year gap in my function, you know what I mean? And the people that I was working with. But I was like, I'm not gonna do this anymore. I'm done, I'm fed up. And I'd rather earn nothing but being happy with myself than earn a lot and acting. You know what I mean?
so you took a big risk, right?
I took a risk, yeah, in the right time.
And how did the people, like we talked about surrounding yourself with the right people, how did the people that you at that moment in time were surrounded with, how did they react? Were they scared? Were they, yes, Dennis, go do your entrepreneurial things? Or were they, no, you should have safety in your life? Because that's something we hear really often, right?
Yeah, no, when you change something that people were used to seeing, change always brings resistance. So there was like a certain like measure of resistance as in, yeah, what are you gonna do now? And why did you stop? And how are you gonna do this? I don't think it was the right choice. You'll always have that, and I don't blame people for that because they don't understand your situation. They're just putting their own fears in your head because that's what they would fear, you know? But then you just got to do what you got to do. And at some point when it's going well, they'll be like, oh, yeah.
Only afterwards they'll congratulate you.
Afterwards, you know? But it's tough. Like, it's always a challenge. We're saying about things that it's unfair. Like even in the first years of my fitness career, I had to adapt. Until the point we had the whole thing with George Floyd, and now everyone is like, oh, yeah, we need to change stuff. But like, I'm a personal trainer. I'm a Les Mills national trainer. I traveled a lot for Les Mills to New Zealand. And it's also a big corporate company. And the way they were portraying themselves before George Floyd was like every advertisement, every poster, every model, most of the time was white. Blonde hair, blue eyes. Like this is this is fitness. With these people, this is how they look. Skinny, and this is how they look. Well, if you look at the world if you look at the world, you have all types of people. And you need to give them someone they can also look up to. That they need to see themselves in certain people. For example, maybe in for example the ghettos of America, they would push Les Mills, but then they would push Les Mills with this beautiful, skinny, blue eye, blonde hair, young dude or young woman to say, yo, this is fitness. That kid's gonna be like, get that, this
doesn't work, not
it doesn't
compatible.
work like me. I'm not like you. Like, oh, so I have to be like you to be healthy? So this is health. This is looking good. This is nice. This is beauty. So, so even in that company, as a young trainer, I had to adapt. Because in the national team of the Netherlands, predominantly, everyone is Dutch. And when I came in, I remember having this talk with my head trainer. He was my colleague, but we became good friends, very good friends. Boss is his name. I remember one of the things he told me, like, Dennis, when you come in, try to open up a bit more. Because when you open up, people see the real you. And then, they see your personality, they see you smile, and it's easier to connect with that. And I was like, why do I have to do that? Why can they not be welcoming to me? That's what I had in my head. But because because I was a trainee, I wanted to become a trainer, I had to adapt to it. I had to smile when I come in. I had to talk to them. I had to understand their jokes. I had to accept certain things. But that's not the way it should be. You know? Stuff like that. Even worse. Like I've been in certain situations where I felt discriminated openly, but they thought it was a joke. For example, we were teaching a class. I was still a trainee, and in front of the class, like we were standing in front of the people, and we had like I don't know 100 people standing in front of us. We're going to teach a grit class, and there was this trainer who was saying, "Yo, this is so and so. This is so and so," and it was dark there. You know what I mean? And I was wearing like a white shirt. And then he said, and this is Dennis. And you can only see him by his white t-shirt. Bro, like, at that point, something just snapped in my head. But I was like, this a problem? What happened? He thinks he's making a joke, so he thinks he's funny. He doesn't realize that it's a racial comment that's not fair towards me, and I feel offended about it. So first, I wanted to react impulsively. But because I've been through situations like that, I just did the class. After the class, I took him aside, and I was like, yo, bro, I understand you want to make jokes. But these type of jokes, I don't like. And especially, it's even worse because you did it in front of everyone. I felt offended about it, and I want you to change that. He said, it's a joke, and what you're saying is bullshit. I'm not going to do anything with it. That's what I faced in Les Mills, the Netherlands. And it's actually, I think this would be very good to also show it because I'm going to be open and honest about it, I faced that. It's like the guy said that. I was like, okay, cool. I was in my mind, I said it to you, and you're not doing anything with it. If it happens again, in my mind, I was like, I'm going to go ghetto on you, bro. Then screw this shit, I'm going to stop. He never did that again, though. So the message came in. But I could always feel like there was a sense of he didn't like me, Always putting me down.
For no reason.
No reason. Well, actually, I think he felt intimidated by me. New guy, very charismatic, open, being myself, putting in I would say, the flavor in the team. Because at first I came in, I was like, hi. At some point, I was like myself.
Yeah.
Cracking jokes, using social media during the class. I was the first one doing stuff like that, and he didn't like it, He was like, who's this guy? Getting opportunities. He was like,
Stealing the show.
Yeah, he was like, I'm working my ass off, my butt off, and this guy gets the opportunity to go to New Zealand to film. Why does he get the opportunity? Why not me? That unfair thing again. Well, I was seeing things differently. I was like, fitness, yeah, technique should be on point. Your coaching should be on point. But what motivates people? Not by telling them, yeah, you got the right, correct technique, you got the right this, it's about what you give extra, your personality. That's what I saw. Maybe my technique wasn't always on point and my coaching wasn't always on point, but I found a way to touch people,
They can steal the recipe, but the sauce won't be the same.
Exactly, bro. So I came to that point where this guy was putting me down in front of a lot of people, and it came to a point because I always told my manager, the people up top, like, yo, this guy is actually bullying me. It needs to stop. They're like, yeah, Dan, we were fine. We spoke to him, and it went on for 2 years. And to that point, I was like, you know what? Because we had a mega quarterly, and we had to.
What is that?
A mega like Les Mills, like they have like a quarterly event where all the instructors, Les Mills instructors, have to come to get the new release of certain classes. So we teach them the new releases. And a mega quarterly is like a huge event where we like add like parties and a show and everything to it. It's like a huge event, like a fitness event, Like the way you go to a festival, you go to a fitness festival. That's the mega quarterly. And we had to teach a class together. But on the preparation day for the mega quarterly, like a day before, he was putting me down again in front of everyone. And my friend Bus, who moved back then, he moved to New Zealand, who came back, or moved to Japan and came back, he saw that. And he was stepping up for me, like, yo, you don't have to, like, but I was like, I told him, see, bro, this guy is doing the same thing again. But it reached a certain level where I was like, if I don't address it again with this guy, it's not going to end well. So I went to my program coach, I went to my manager, and my program coach was first like, you know what, let's do it after the class because I don't want to disturb anything, or the team spirit. And I was like, no. At first I said yes, but the guy kept going. I was like, yo, bro, I have to teach tomorrow with him. I am not going to teach with this guy because it's here now. So I remember that morning I called my training manager and my program coach and that guy. I was like, we're going to talk right now. The things I said, bro. I said, you guys, we're going to solve this now because it needs to stop. And they were like, okay, cool. So we sat, and then my training manager asked him, what is your problem with Dennis, actually? And that's where the first time I heard his reason. He said, I don't think Dennis has the qualities of a trainer that he needs to have to be in this team. Then I stopped him there. I was like, okay, if you think I'm not good enough, if you think that you're better than me, which is fine, I can respect that. We have the training manager who decides who stays or who goes. We have the program coach who has to work with it. But that doesn't mean you have to put me down in front of people and you have to talk shit about me. And I told him straight in his face, bro, I am not going to have this conversation with you or try to understand you. I'm going to tell you this. If you ever put me down in front of people again, bro, we won't be talking. Bro, I will smash your face. That's what I told him straight away. I'm going to break you down. I don't give a shit. If you disrespect me one more time, bro, I'm telling you what I'm going to do with you. You don't want to, I'm going to beat the shit out. I don't know how it's going to end, but this is what I'm going to do with you. And then everyone was like quiet because they never saw me like that. I actually threatened that person. If he does it again, I'm going to do this. And I remember my coach, training manager saying, okay, so I understand, Dennis, you said what you have to say, but what can we do to change the situation? I was like, no, not what can we do. I always respected the guy. What can he do to change the situation? Because I did nothing wrong. From day one, this guy's bullying me, racial jokes. Up to now, he's putting me down in front of people. And you're asking me what we can do? There's no we in this. That's him. He needs to change. And then he heard me and he apologized and he was very sad about it, I heard. And he was like, it was never his intention. I was like, I don't care if it was your intention or not. It needs to stop. I'm done with you. And actually from that day, I saw a positive change in this guy. But those are things I'm like always facing, like in corporate things. Even in New Zealand, I had where the headquarters is, I faced some challenges about racial things with people. And now after George Floyd, the whole marketing of Les Mills has changed. Now all of a sudden they're putting black people, they're putting people with hijabs, they're putting all sorts of people and marketing it, and they're marketing it like that, which is a good change. But it always annoys me that something horrible needs to happen for people to understand that they need to change when it comes to stuff like that. Crazy. But yeah.
Yeah, it's the world we live in.
That's the world we live in, bro.
But I think still with that being said, it's what we live in, okay? That's a fact, but the way you react to it, that's up to you.
Yeah.
And I think by addressing the problem, not directly in a way where you have an impulsive reaction, like while it's happening, you take a step back, analyze the situation, go talk to him first. Yo, this is not okay. Just by taking it slowly, I think you're doing him a big favor as well, because if you have that mindset of constantly bringing people down, you're not gonna get far. Mm-hmm. I think Gary Vee said this one, you can either have the tallest building by destroying all the buildings around you, or you can actually have the tallest building because you're the best. And just by helping him, like, no, this is not the way to go. You have to do it like this. You shouldn't like make racial comments. Just treat people with respect. It's the equal playing ground. I think you're doing him a big favor as well. So even with all this going on, you still find a way to address things in a professional manner. I think that's very inspiring for
Most of it was professional.
yeah, but at the end, like,
at the end, like I was like, yo,
if it doesn't work,
if it doesn't work, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, because I'm human too. You know, sometimes things just get too much of you, actually. But yeah.
So we've talked about unfair environments.
Yeah.
When you look back at Ghana, people not having education there, that's the same thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then for the people that know you personally, we all know that you created this great initiative
Yeah.
named after Fophy Foundation.
Mm-hmm.
Could you tell us more about that?
Yeah. So Fophy Foundation, like I always go by the name Dennis Toppin, but it's Dennis Toppin Fophy. Last name of my father, the late Nana Kofi, who passed away 2015. Which I started a beautiful thing with. Actually, we wanted to give back to the community. We wanted to start a school to help less privileged kids to get quality education, because there is education in Ghana, but if you want quality education, it's for the people who can afford it. To be honest, it's pretty expensive also, you know. So people tend to go to schools that are not too good, or you will have an amazing teacher, but it's impossible for a teacher to teach to 100 kids, for example, you know, because some of them will get it, but not all of them will get your teaching. So yeah, we wanted to give something back, and we started this thing on our own, first of all, but due to him passing away, like the a lot of things, the situation changed, which made me resolve in starting this foundation, you know, the Fophy Foundation, where we want to like uplift this project and finish this project so that we can facilitate 1,000 kids once the project is fully built, you know. And yeah, that's the goal. That's the foundation.
And you go there pretty often, right? I mean,
Yeah.
we've seen Instagram stories, we've seen videos come by.
Yeah.
When you go there,
Mm-hmm.
does that give you a certain sense of purpose? Like, this is why I'm doing it? Because I can imagine that would happen.
It does, bro, because, you know, every time when you face the reality of, every time you're faced with how, like, lucky you are to be in the position that you are today, and that others would die for that opportunity, or that others would, like, if they would stand in your shoes, they will utilize every opportunity, maybe even better than you. That reality check makes you understand that, yo, you know, I'm privileged to be in this life that I have. So if you can help someone that wants that same opportunity and grow, that's amazing. I mean, that's amazing. I mean, that's just life, man. And also, every time when I go there, the appreciation that the people have, just having you, like your presence, it's they're happy with your presence. To say that, hey, there was this dude who came from the Netherlands and I had like dinner with him. For them to be able to tell their story to someone else, they enjoyed that. Or, yo, he brought some people from the Netherlands and, you know, they did this with us, or they gave us this. Like, they appreciate so much. And even the craziest thing, like, okay, I met someone from Ghana. That person, you know, didn't have much, but was willing to share his last with me. Like, I was like, no, man, I don't want it. No, I want to share it. No, I don't want it. No, please, I want you to have this. I mean, that's just insane. You know what I mean? And that motivates me to do a lot more, to be better, you know, to be a better person. Yeah. I mean, we learn by trials and tribulations and by mistakes. And I've made a lot of mistakes, though. But at the end of the day, learning from them and seeing these things just makes you feel good and makes you realize that you got to do your best.
And the people here. I mean, we had a event
Yeah,
not long ago.
yeah,
People are really supportive, right?
yeah. They
Like
were
I think
very
you
supportive.
inspire a lot of people. I mean, if it's myself, I'm just speaking for myself now. Just seeing that, it's like, yeah, I want that. I want something similar to that. Be part of
Yeah.
my why.
Yeah.
I want to also give back.
Yeah,
Speak for myself, but I think for a lot of people, I mean, that event was very successful. A lot of people came, a lot of smiling faces, a lot of appreciation, and also your wife is really involved with it. She's
Yeah.
also completely, she believes in the vision and she
Yeah.
gives her all. I think that's so beautiful.
yeah, I'm happy for that. Yeah, it is, bro. I'm very happy to have it because that was the first real event I ever had.
First event, yeah.
Yeah. So that was a great experience to see all those faces because like I faced like a lot of challenges, which is crazy. When it's about entrepreneurship and when it's about business and stuff like that, people get involved easy. But if it's about helping others and others that are far away from you, it somehow becomes a challenge, which I faced several times.
To get people involved.
To get people involved. I was like, and every time, because it's so personal to me, every time when people would say they would get involved and they didn't get involved, it kind of did something with me to the extent that I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna do this shit myself. Then I don't have to rely on people. But it's thanks to my wife who gathered the right people to say, yo, look, I know this is challenging for you. I know this is personal for you, but it's also personal for me. And I can pull this off. And she pulled it off. You know what I mean? I never expected this to happen like that. And it was like I was really nervous also a bit to be like, okay, what's going to happen? Are people going to come? How's the day going to go? I was like, oh man, stress. I was like I couldn't have done it by myself.
I remember she called me a week in advance. She
Yeah.
was like, Younes, we need to do a promotion video for
Yeah.
the event. But don't tell Dennis, he can't know.
Yeah.
We have to do it. It was so funny.
Yeah.
Went really well. And did you find out like the day before or the day like itself or?
Like, I think when she posted that videos where I
Yeah,
realized
yeah.
that, yeah.
She did a great job of keeping it secret.
Yeah, really, really. She was so involved. I was like, wow, this is beautiful. Yeah, that really did me well, man. I mean, to see that many people to come and support, that's amazing.
Yeah, but even for that to happen, you had to make those first steps. You had to go there with your last resorts to just get the bricks and the sand and everything.
Yeah, yeah.
You have to make those steps, and then you can be like, look, we have this. It's sad
Yeah.
that people don't, but also that's the world we live in, I guess. Like it's just
Life is unfair,
Yeah.
And you cannot force people to help you. I'm like, people need to see it and do it. I don't want people just to do it because they feel like a certain pressure,
Obviously.
If you give in, you gotta
it's not pure.
yeah, you gotta give from a pure and happy heart, or else I don't need your help, because I'm doing it from a pure and happy heart. I'm doing it for the smiles on these kids' their face. I'm doing it like if this project works, I believe it's gonna work. When it works, if I can have only one kid that makes it to a certain extent, that kid is a talent in school or whatever, they can study abroad and comes back to do the same, it's good.
And then it's a positive feedback loop where we'll continue and people take
Exactly.
example and be like, oh, Dennis gave me this opportunity or help me go study at Harvard or whatever crazy
Whatever,
thing we can
yeah.
imagine.
But even if I get to know this one kid that is that special, that can help I don't know, millions, then it's good. Or I can motivate this one kid to reach a certain thing that can reach the masses. Why not?
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, it is. It is. It is. Because how's that for you? I mean, you've seen it. You've seen me doing this stuff and things like that. What goes through your mind when you hear all these things?
You're talking about building the school?
Yeah, and the foundation and stuff like that.
I mean, for me, I tend to relate things back to myself.
Yeah.
How can I do this too?
Yeah.
And at this moment in time, I'm not capable of doing such a thing. But I'm, for example, able to help you with your goal.
Yeah.
So like I already told you this. Now again,
Yeah.
when there are things we can do, we already planned like some things to go there and make a documentary or
Exactly.
promotional videos, flyers, whatever.
Yeah.
I just want to be involved with that and give back as well. Then getting back to my own cause, now I have like, I mean, I'm studying architecture.
Yeah.
I think at some point in the study we have to design like a school or like some kind of building, and I want to like design like a school for in Algeria that I can someday like actually build. I think that would be insane. And also like I'm not the greatest like architect, but like when you have like a strong why, I'm sure I'm gonna make a crazy building
I believe so.
that
I
will
believe so.
actually like be functional and everything. I think, yeah, it just inspired me, and that idea didn't just come. It was from seeing someone did the same, and I hope many other people have that.
Bro, you're gonna build that school, man, and I want to be part of that too.
You will, I'm sure.
Yeah, man, that's great. Wow. You know what the crazy thing about you is, bro? You're so young, but man, like you're so far ahead of your time. That's crazy, man. Like you have all the ingredients to reach whatever goal you want to reach. Like all the ingredients. And the thing I love about you is that you're consistent, you're humble, you're respectful, and you're doing it. You're doing it every day, and that motivates me also. Like when I see stuff, the things you do, I'm like, yo, don't sleep, Dennis. You see, he's doing it. You got to go even harder. Like how old did this kid? 20? Yeah, he was 19. Mates, look what he's doing right now. Go for it. So I really admire that about you. You know, like you put in the work, and you're not afraid to put in the work. You know, and you don't see a lot of people from your generation do that at the time right now. I mean, there are a few, but a lot of them are not putting in the work. They're expecting to get the things they want, but they're not ready to put in the work, you know. And
What do you think is the reason they're scared to put in the work? Because they're all capable. I mean, they have 2 hands, they have 2 legs, they have a well-functioning brain. Why is it that they're scared of not doing it?
I think that, like, you know, every generation has its insecurities. And I think the level of insecurity in my generation was a lot more controllable, if I can say it, because we didn't have the social media influence that we have now. When I grew up, the only media that could influence you was the TV. The second you switch it off, it's what you see on the billboard. But at the end of the day, you were just playing and doing whatever you want to do. You know, there was no phone or computer to constantly influence your mind. Which is now, we live in a time where we're constantly influenced by our phones and the things that we see. And if you do not have a solid foundation in your mindset, you know, you're constantly going to be influenced.
Get absorbed by it.
Yeah, you have no choice. You're going to absorb it. It's going to do something with you. If you keep seeing certain things, you might say, oh, no, it's not going to do anything. It has influence on you.
Yeah, unconsciously.
Exactly.
Whether you want it or not.
You know, so like at some point there's like this generation grow up who doesn't know what they want. They want to look like this. They try, but they can't. Or they want to reach this. They try, but they can't. Because everything we see on social media, it's like it's all the good things. It only shows how easy or the success, but they don't show the struggle that comes with it. They don't show the pain that comes with it. They don't show the sacrifice that comes with it. They only show the end result. If you only see the end result, you know, you're only going to expect the end result, but you're not going to expect the work that comes with it. I think that's the issue. You know, and that's why people like you are pretty unique to dig in and research and see that you got to put in the work.
Yeah, I think what really helped for me is this process called reverse engineering.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I have a certain goal,
Yeah.
that's cool. I want this, or I want to obtain that, or let's take something practical. I want to get my degree.
Yeah.
I want to get a degree. in architecture. How am I going to do that? Okay, look back. I have 3 years of studying to do. I need to do a minor. I need to pass all these different subjects. Then I'll look, and then you have to like make it into small bites, where it's actually like where you can plan, and it's not like this huge like snowball of I need to do this, this, and this, and I'm just going to start. You need to create like a plan where, like, with dedicated hours, and like it has to be clear what you want.
Let me interrupt you right there, because I got a question for you. Like, because this what you already are saying, like that way of thinking, not everyone has that way of thinking from the get-go. So how did you get to that point at this young age to think like this? You know, people people need years to get to that mindset, and you know, so
I think it's partly because, as you mentioned yourself, like I surrounded myself with people that had that mindset already, and they wouldn't tell me that, but I would look at how they would experience, at how they would attack their goals, and they were like, oh yeah, they're actually like taking very small steps in order to get it. They're not doing like something else. It's just that. And then imagine people like that don't have a Dennis in their life, or someone else that is doing well. We can say just listening to podcasts, reading books. Reading books really helps.
were you doing all that stuff? You were reading books, listening to podcasts, stuff like that?
Yeah.
When did you start doing stuff like that, bro?
Reading books. I was reading books when I was young. I read like Harry Potter and all the like things that young people read.
Yeah.
And then I went into high school, and I just started disliking reading because I had to read like books that were like this thick that I didn't choose myself.
Exactly.
So I think that's something that for all the teachers watching should change it. Yeah, definitely change that.
Let them read things that they actually like and they, you know, get enthusiastic about, because
Yeah, just reading like self-development books, non-fiction most of the time. Listening to podcasts. I mean, just some names like Jocko Willink, Andy Frisella, Joe Rogan, Jordan Peterson.
How old were you when you started doing like reading all these things about stuff like that?
Reading really young, and then listening to podcasts like I think when I was like 18, 19. But it all came together at some point. Like I started, then I also started working, and
But weren't you also practicing a sport? Like you
yeah.
know,
I mean, we talked about that, right?
Yeah.
So like I was doing taekwondo.
Exactly.
I started in 2006. So that's where I.
How old were you when you started taekwondo?
2006. I was 5.
Wow.
I was 5. Yeah, that's thanks to my dad.
Mm.
He actually, I think I got bullied when I was young because I was really skinny, like super skinny. Like I'll have my producer put a picture up. Like I was super skinny, and I remember they called me grass, like literally like one grass, like grasprietje in Dutch would be. And I remember, like I still remember that. I was 5, and then I got in fights and stuff, and I just like I wouldn't be able to protect myself. And then we had a taekwondo school next to me, and my friends were already doing it. And then I started doing that, and that's when I started like being more confident. And
So you had to fight for yourself.
yeah,
That's where the mentality started. The age of 5.
yeah,
That's why you're so early with the things you're doing. See, also you had to fight for yourself. You had to win in certain things and fight for things. So it's crazy, right? So, and sometimes if we look back, there are negative situations which force us to fight and to get a positive mindset. So we need these negative things in life somehow to understand what it is to have a right mindset or a right will to do certain things, which is crazy. But yeah, because man, you're killing it, man. You're killing it. Now your first podcast, you're killing it.
yeah, and that's also, I mean, part of the mission to help people. I don't know if that's something I actively decided I want to help people. Like that's part of my why, but it just like I know all these people that have achieved great heights, and always when I'm with friends, like just friends from my childhood, they're like, oh, and you filmed with him, and you were with the Algerian team, and like I want to share that with other people, show them that like what they know, because they have like, I mean, like just small things like just waking up earlier
Yeah.
or challenging yourself every day.
Yeah.
Those small things, like those were things that I was reading when I was 17 or 18, and that helped me. So I hope that by doing this podcast, like some people get that I had
Yeah.
to also like start doing more, executing, and perhaps just creating like really like setting goals for themselves that
Yeah.
people tell them that are not possible, and just like crushing them.
You're a go-getter. That's what I realized about you. Like, you know, I mean, if we talk about how we met, I'm like, this kid. I was the grumpiest person ever, I think, that day. You know, I love food, and we were like me and my wife back then my fiance or my girlfriend then, we were sitting in a restaurant. Food wasn't that good. I had to wait long for my food. I didn't finish my plate. I wanted to leave. Then all of a sudden you stepped to me. Like, what was going through your mind, man?
I remember that very clearly. I was sitting with Sefa, who was a good friend, like
Yeah.
good friend of me, my best friend, and we were eating together.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know you at the time. Like
Yeah.
I had never seen you.
Yeah.
It was just my friend told me, "Hey, that guy is a trainer of Moula Bay," and that was the only introduction that I had. And at the time, I had recorded with ADO Den Haag once.
Yeah.
So I was kind of in the sport industry, and obviously I was
Yeah.
doing sport myself. So
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of like everything that has to do with sports.
Yeah.
And he told me, you should go to him and ask him to like record something, or just go to him. Like that was the idea. And then I just like took my Instagram, like I'm gonna show him this video that I made for ADO Den Haag. I'm gonna ask him if I can come record something for him. And I just went, I guess, and it went okay.
Man, I remember like we were about to leave. You stood up, you're like, yo, you know, you Dennis. I was like, yo, I was like looking at you like, what? I don't, where do I know you from? I don't. Did I do something? Like, and then the way you ask for it, maybe like I make videos, because back at that time I had people making videos for me. You're like, yeah, I make videos and this is what I do. Maybe we can mean something for each other. Check this video for ADO Den Haag. It's like, I hate the club ADO Den Haag. Sorry for my words, because that's a whole different podcast if I talk about why I had like these feelings about ADO Den Haag. But now it's a beautiful club. But back then I didn't like it. And I'm like, so he's showing me stuff about ADO Den Haag. I was like, okay. And about football players, I was like, okay. But the thing that stuck with me is like, this kid just stepped to me, you know, and be like, yeah, you know, this is what I do. I make videos. I would like to make something for you. Maybe we can make something for each other. Like, the position you put me in, and like, there was no way I could have said no. Why would I say no? Why wouldn't I give you that chance? I was like, okay. I'm like, okay, you know, he stepped up to me. He asked me something. He wants to do something. And, you know, he why would I say no? So he came.
Yeah, I mean, I remember you telling me tomorrow.
Yeah, I said tomorrow.
And at that moment in time, I went back I was like, yeah, great, let's do it tomorrow. I went back to the table and told my friend, I don't have a camera. I had like a small, like camera that's worse than your iPhone.
Yeah.
And I had an iPhone 6 at the time, so that also was an option. So I was like, shit, what am I gonna do? So I remember, I already told you this. This is so funny. I like my mom was a photographer, so I went to like her basement, and I grabbed her like old cameras that don't work.
Your mom's camera, okay.
Yeah, but like I didn't know how it worked, and it was for photos. Like you can do video with it, and I found that out later. So I was like, in the morning, I was really stressed. But I put the camera on my neck.
I know.
It was a big camera.
Yeah, it was a huge camera.
And then I recorded with the small one.
You know, I never realized that you were recording with it. Like, I was like, maybe he's taking pictures with a small one, and you had this big one around your neck. But I was like, okay, at some point you were recording with a small one. I was like, you know, I don't know anything about film.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I only knew that small cameras are not, you know, special. But I was like, okay. But then you came with the edit. And I was like, so you did that with that minimum equipment? I was like, all right. All right. I was like, cool. And also what I liked about you, that like the quickness you work with. I was like, bam, bam, straight away. Like I was like, whoa. So remember, like, you know, guys that I was working with, they're very talented and good, but they needed time because they had a lot of other things going on. You know, and editing is not easy, but you were so quick with your edits. I was like, okay. And I remember then there was this next event coming, the Ballieu event with Frenna.
That's where it went down.
And I was like, you know what? Let's go to that event. And we just do whatever you... I never expected to go like that. Like in one day, you had all the numbers of all the top artists in the Netherlands and professional football player. Like it was just not normal, man, bro.
I remember this really funny. I rented a camera for that event because I didn't have anything.
I didn't know you had a camera.
And the whole night I was just looking at reviews, how to make a photo, how to edit it, like just everything. And I remember like I got there and I saw like the red Lamborghini and it was crazy. And then at some point like Ronnie Flex came in.
Yeah.
I took a photo of him and I showed him the photo. He was like, "Oh man, that's crazy, that's great." and I told him, "Yeah, man, do you want it?" He was like, "Yeah, sure." I was like, "Yeah, sure, like I'll send it to you." And he gave me his phone and I put in my number and I called myself.
Just like that, man. Just like that, bro.
In like that same night, I sent him pictures and he posted them. And yeah, that was crazy.
Bro, that was just like, I was like, what? I don't even have Ronnie Fleck's number. We know each other, but I don't have his number. Man, that went so quick. You know, at some point you were making videos. I will never forget. And the guys were shooting a video clip. At some point, they were not looking at the cameraman who was there for them. They were looking into your camera. I was like, just do your thing, bro. Just do your thing. That event was like, to me, it was like so magical because it was so good to see like in a week time how fast things went for you. And ever since, you just took off, man.
Yeah. I mean, big thanks. I mean, we talked about this many times, but I think like when you get an opportunity or like half opportunity, like you really have to like give it your all. And if it doesn't work, like at some point it will, and then it will be worth it.
Yeah.
And I think that week I didn't sleep because I was editing and then I was looking up like tutorials on how to edit and how to make photos. And I've always had this. Like for example, when I have I had to like shoot a football game and it's not great like advertising for myself, but I always find a way. But then it's like the night before or it's just like, but you have to make it happen.
Yeah.
And I think, yeah, that's something you like.
I could never do that, bro. What you did, bro, like, but that's because your mind, everything was like towards that direction and you just made it happen. And that's why like I admire you for that. That's why at your young age I was like, whoa, this kid went so fast and you adapt so quick to new levels. I was like, whoa, you know, I mean, at some point you were taking photos and making videos for the national team of Algeria. I was like,
I called you, right?
yeah, I know.
I was in the hotel with
like,
players.
I was like, what? You know, like stuff like that. So it means that, you know, you're doing good and you work out a lot. But the only thing, though, I would tell you is that you need to find your moments of rest. But, you know, now you're young, so you won't feel that too much. But it's good to build them in.
Yeah, but I mean, I try to practice active recovery. And that's like by just taking walks or going to the sauna and like taking cold showers. That I feel like speeds up your recovery time.
Yeah.
I think that's really good and it goes really well with the working out and everything. Like it fits also for recovery, obviously.
Yeah. All right, that's good. That's good, man. I mean, crazy.
But it's hard when you tell me that you sleep 5 hours 30, then I also have to, you know, step up my game.
You know, it's just, yeah. But I realized I did it for a long time, but my body's also asking me to rest more. So I try to get my sleep back in the weekends. That's why the weekends, like, no one can, like, already, if you WhatsApp me, like, how hard is it to reach me? Like, you know, I never respond on WhatsApp because I tend to stay away from the phone. and never like people call me like 2-3 times before, like, you know. And in a weekend, I'm like off the radar, off the grid, because I need those moments. I need those moments because, you know, there are new goals. At some point, you get new goals in life. You know, yeah, I have a wife. That means it comes with certain responsibilities, and also, you know, you want to set goals with that person too. You know, so it's like a different thing. It's a different thing, and then I'm like, all of a sudden, I'm not alone. I'm not by myself anymore. So I need to also make sure I do the right things in that relationship.
It comes down to adapting to the situation, right? Like you have to, like, things change and you have to be able to react
Yeah.
without like
Yeah,
taking too much time for that.
Exactly. You have to be able to. You have to be able to react to that. You know, to new things that come in your life, and that's basically you know, what I have to do. Like this new chapter starting of your life, and I'm like, wow. Okay, how am I gonna do this? But we'll find a way. It's just new. Like, okay, you need to slow down a bit sometimes. Right now you don't because you're young. Go for it, but the time will come that you have to slow down a bit. You're like, you know. Not that I'm that old though, but
we still see you do pull-ups, and I mean, we made a video when you were doing the American football thing.
Yeah, bro.
That didn't look like slowing down at all.
Nah. When it comes to training, no, I want to be top of the game. Yeah, but yeah, you know, I mean, like at some point, like I was training, I became the trainer, and now I become a gym owner, entrepreneur. Like
Several gym owner, right? Like multiple gym owner.
Yeah, I got 3 gyms at the time now. Yeah, like, you know, like you just keep growing. You grow out. You will grow. You will outgrow the things that you're doing, and then you need to step into the next one. You know, next level. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. Yeah, man.
All right, man. I think that's a great ending of the podcast.
That's a good
I think
one.
we talked about some interesting topics.
Yeah.
We'll definitely have Dennis on in the future if he's done.
It's a must, bro. It's a must.
And thank you for coming, man.
Thank you for having me, bro.